Hello, everybody. We're going to get started with this event. So welcome to our webinar, Meetup webinar today, the summer update. My name is, first, before we get into the presenters here, this is part of a regular series. We haven't had an event like that for a few months, so we're very happy to restart. We want these events to be very casual, features and use case centric. So we do live demo and we show you some of the features of the product, and we also share some of the insight we get from our customers. These events are part of a YouTube playlist on our YouTube channel, so you can scan the QR code here, or you can just go on our Eagleview YouTube channel, and you will be able to find the playlist. So I am Dimitri Volkman. I am VP of Product Marketing for Eagleview One. I will be your host for the show today. And together with me are my colleague Megan and Russ, who will be backstage answering your question as we go. And they will also join us at the end if there are some additional questions that we answer live. So put your question in the Q&A section, please. Don't put them into the chat. You can put reactions or comments or whatever you want in the chat. But if you have questions, make sure you put them into the Q&A. That allows us to make sure we answer them and also trace them if we need to do some follow-up on questions that we cannot answer. Let's look at the program for today. So the program for today, we are going to look into the property viewer. Specifically first, we'll talk about, I do a very brief recap because I often realize that a good number of our customers are not necessarily aware of what are the possibilities with the property viewer. And then I will show you some of the latest features we have been adding to the property viewer. We'll also talk a little bit about what's coming next. We'll talk a little bit about the subscription benefits. You should know by now that Eagleview One is a subscription that we have launched about 15 months ago, and we're adding more and more value as we go. The other topic I want to discuss with you a little bit is Eagleview Horizon. This product is currently in limited access. We have done some preview during our roadshow in Q2. So if some of you were part of this roadshow, we did 8 or 9 cities all across the US about our solution. You might have heard about it, but I want to show you a little bit of more of what are these new possibilities. And then we have a couple of things we want you to mark on your calendars that we believe will be interesting for you to know and potentially attend in the upcoming weeks. So before we dive in, the usual introduction slide to explain what we're trying to do with Eagleview One. So with Eagleview One, we are trying to feed the geospatial ecosystem. So we have fundamentally put all our value, imagery, measurements, the measurement reports you're all very familiar with and you all love, as well as additional property data in our platform. This is the bottom layer. And now we deliver this value in a number of ways. One way is the applications. So the property viewer is an application, Eagleview Horizon is an application. We also deliver these values through integration. We know that a lot of you acquire our reports or consume our reports through third-party tools. So we have a large number of integration. And we also have a developer program, which we will touch a tiny little bit on it in this webinar, which basically allows your developers, if you have developers or third-party developers, to use our value and add it to their own application and innovate using our geospatial information and value that we provide. So that's the umbrella for the program, the Eagleview One platform. So first, we're going to look into the property viewer. I'm going to do a quick overview, a live demo, and then we'll talk about the 3 things that we've added recently. So 2D to 3D improvements, which is also called the pitch editor, for those of you who are aware. We've also done some work in the ESX environment, so Xactimate solution for risk that is used by insurance, but we do know that a lot of you in construction interact with insurance companies, so these features are particularly effective if you have those kind of use cases. And we also have an upcoming sharing service, which I will touch on, which I believe will be pretty interesting in terms of helping you better collaborate with your colleagues or even potentially customers. So let me pop up my demo environment here, and just going to take a second. Here we go. It's coming up. Yeah. So first thing I want to do is when you order one of our reports, whatever the way you do it, whether it is directly into Eagleview One or through a third-party solution, you will receive an email notification with the content of the report. So you have an example of this, the email that you receive here in this window, and actually you can see that this is a full house report with ESX. We'll talk about that into more details. And if you are on our Eagleview subscription, you actually have this button here that allows you to jump in directly into the property viewer. So I'm not authenticated yet today, so I'm going to have to do that. Just give me a second. If you had authenticated already, so you only need usually to do that once per day, you would directly jump into the property viewer here. There we go. And now I do need to have my phone ready. Okay, here we go. So this is basically now you can see the 3D visualization, or what we call the property viewer, which allow you to have a look at the property. What I usually also like to point out when you first jump into the property viewer is that if you go on the bottom left of the screen here, you can see that you have access to our imagery. So we have the 5 different views, so overhead, north, east, west, and south view, which are part of the data that we provide in this report. And this can be particularly interesting when you're planning for your visit to the customer, because you can see, for example, the access road here. So depending on how much equipment you're bringing, if you're bringing a trailer, or if you have some materials being shipped there, or you organize that, it gives you a little bit of the idea of the access. Of how you can access the property. So this is a pretty good capability that you have this imagery embedded. And again, this is empowered by the fact that we have everything on the platform now, not just the measurement, but the imagery as well. So that's an interesting property. I usually like, and you have a number of, I'm not going to do a full demo. Most of you probably seen the property viewer before, but I just want to make sure we have a quick highlight. You can display the parcel boundaries here. Obviously, you can zoom in, zoom out. You have a number of options that are available in the viewer. You can actually completely remove all the imagery. Some of our customers, when they focus on the project, like to be able to just zoom in, zoom out, and look only at the property itself. I can bring it back. You can also remove the labels here. And one feature that is we'll actually look at that maybe more details, is you can overlay just the roof imagery. And this is particularly interesting when it comes to features we have added recently in the product, which is the roof penetration. So if I select penetration here, I can see all the different roof penetrations, and I can toggle back and forth between the roof and the penetration. And that can be useful for me to see what is the access for those penetration, and depending on the job I have to do on this one. Now, on this property, what we can do, and which is particularly interesting, if I go back to the roof here, is I can actually select, you see we have 2 structures on this property. So I can select structure number 1, and then all the roof information have been selected for this structure. And I can go and generate a report only for this specific selection of the property. So we see a lot of our customers using the property viewer when they have partial jobs. So let's say you're only working on a certain number of facets, or you are just working on a specific structure, which is the case here. And you can very easily, quickly generate a PDF report. And if I open this PDF report here, you can see that only the second structure has been selected. And obviously, you have the totals that were computed by the property viewer of the total area and number of facets that were selected. And if you scroll down, you see the imagery again, and you will see only the dimension for the specific selection you've done. So a very useful tool when it comes to do partial jobs on a specific property. Another thing I want to show you, and let me jump into another one of my reports here. So if I look at my report history, I'm presented with the list of the different reports I've ordered, and I can do some filtering and selection. I'm going to only select the full house reports here and apply that. And then I'm going to see, obviously, only the full house and the full house with ESX. We'll talk about that later on. And if I select, let's say I'm going to select this property. The other thing I wanted to show you on this one, which is pretty cool, is if I look at the 3D model, you can see that, And we did a complete webinar on that in March, so you can go look back at the recording. We now have also access to not only the roof information, but also the walls and the windows. And you can see the different list of the different walls that exist on this property. Now, in this property, the walls are only masonry, but we also have a siding if they are applicable. So the system will list the different walls and classify them by masonry or sidings. And obviously, you can unselect everything here and then select specific walls. You can play with the model around, rotate, and you also have the ability to select the different windows or doors that will appear here. So you can see with the different doors, the windows. So you not only have just the roof information, but you now have access to a complete full 3D model of the property and the ability to manipulate it, do some selections, and have a very visual and interactive access to the information from that specific property. So again, just wanted to give you a very brief overview here, and I can also overlay the roof again if I want imagery of the property viewer, and it is a very nice way to interact with the information. So let me go back briefly to our slide deck here, and there we go. So now we want to talk about the 2D to 3D, oops, if I can use the right window, that would be better. Okay, perfect, we are back. So first thing we have added recently to the product is in the area of the 2D to 3D capability, or the pitch editor. Now, this capability is for actually a quite small subset of our property that we support in the United States. It's just a few percentage, less than 5%, I believe, for which we actually do not have the right quality of the imagery to be able to automatically calculate the pitch and build the 3D model. So when that happens, we have the capability to launch what is called the pitch editor that allows you, by going to do a few measurements on site, so you have to go on site for this one, of course, or send somebody on site to get that. And by using these measurements, we can actually recalculate and recompute the 3D model and get you a full 3D model as we have for the other properties. Now, we had this feature for quite a while, but it was kind of a black box feature, so you would just be able to put a few information and it would calculate it for you. What we have done in this version is that we're giving you the ability to actually select how you do that, and we've also made it a little more clear on how the calculations are made. So I'm going to show you that briefly. I'm going to go back to my demo environment here, and if I jump back here and go back to my place. Now I'm going to launch the 2D to 3D editor here. So here I've selected the property for which we do not have that high quality imagery that allows you to automatically calculate the 3D models. So you are now presented with this interface where you can choose the automatic mode. So if you choose the automatic mode, here you can see that we have a number of facets. You can see there are like up to 2K facets here. And some of those facets have a little link here, which means that if I put the pitch value here, and I'm going to put something in random and validate that, it automatically calculates the related pitch for this facet. So same here, if I put one here, I can do that. So by doing this, you're going to have to enter a few of the pitch measurements that you do yourself on site. And when you do save, it will automatically rebuild and recreate the 3D model. And now you have a 3D model. Now, if you do not want to do that, or in some cases where you actually are not very satisfied with what we do, you can always go back to the manual mode. And then if you're in the manual mode, you can see that all the different anchors have disappeared. So you can actually put whatever values that you want yourself, and that will actually build all your measurement information. In that case, we do not generate the 3D models, but you will have in the report the information, so you can work with that. And again, so that's a very small portion of our property portfolio. for the 2D to 3D pitch editor. But this is actually a use case. We'll talk about that when we talk about ESX. That is pretty common when for our customers that use Xactimate. So that feature was available, but we believe that now it is a much more flexible and easier to use with this new approach. So that was the 2D to 3D improvement that we have made, and this is available now in the product. Now, moving on into ESX. Now, most of you are probably very familiar with what is ESX. ESX is a specific file format for the application Xactimate Bad Verisk. And you have actually just a representation on the left side of everything, all the information that an ESX file contained. And you can see that within this ESX file, there's a section called Sketch. And this section is about rooms, walls, roof, facets, dimensions. And so this is typically the section for which you can actually feed this information for a report from Eagleview. And here you see that we have this example of report I showed briefly earlier, which is the full house and the ESX order. So you can now, when you order a report, add the ESX option. And you can, in fact, do that in two ways. You can do it, as I just mentioned, when you're creating a new order. So you have a new location, you're going to be working with an insurance company at this location, and you need to be able to interact with the insurance company and get them the ESX files into Xactimate. So you can order, you will actually specify at the same time of you make your new order that you want the ESX file. So that's one way to do it. Now, for existing properties, if you already bought the report, you can also go back to this report and ask for the ESX option, and then you will be receiving the ESX file, and you obviously only going to be charged for the fee for the ESX file, which is a nominal fee for the ability to have this file delivered into your report. And you might have noticed that before. If you had ordered that with ESX from the beginning, when you receive the email with the different links, you also get the ESX file part of this email for easy access. You don't need necessarily to go into the property viewer interface to go get your ESX file. So that's the ESX file support. So we believe that this is pretty exciting and convenient for those of you who interact with insurance company that use Xactimate. Talking about Xactimate, we have also added one capability in Xactimate itself, which is the ability to directly within the tool access the property viewer. And this is predominantly used when it comes to using the pitch editor, which I showed a very brief demo for you. Because when you get the report into your sketch file in Xactimate and you want to go edit those pitches and complete the creation of the 3D model to populate the sketch in Xactimate, you will be able to do that directly inside the Xactimate environment by popping up a property viewer, Eagleview One property viewer window inside the solution itself. So it's a better integration with Xactimate, and we've released that during the summertime as well. So it is available to all our customers now. So that's the ESX Xactimate topic. So the second topic we had to discuss for you today. Now, the last one I want to touch on, and I'm not going to make a demo for this one. We are finalizing the product. It's actually already available, but the demo is not available for me to do it live today. It's what we call the sharing service. So the sharing service is the ability for you, when you have order report and you're accessing it into the property viewer, to generate and share links. So you can be on a report that you have or on the data set, I would say, for a property. It's a full house data set and report that you have ordered, and you can now create a URL, and you can decide whether this URL will be available only to people in your organization. So then it's kind of you can control maybe better how you distribute the information. But you can actually go one step further, is that this URL can be made public. And what is very interesting is that when you send this URL to a user, it's actually attached to his or her email address. So the user just only need to click on the URL, will need to verify his email, and then he will be sent directly into the property viewer and will be able to look at the data from the property viewer. So the important point is that it does not require the person you share the information with to have an Eagleview One account or subscription, you can just share the URL for that specific property. And obviously it is limited to that property, but it is we believe, a very exciting way to collaborate within the property viewer, as opposed to just forwarding an email with the PDF where the user has to open it and look for the data. Now the user has access to the property viewer and can see the different information in a 3D interactive model, like what we also call a digital twin of the property. So we believe that this is a pretty exciting capabilities. So this one is coming soon, generally available. We can turn it on for some specific customers if you think it's really going to help you. So feel free to contact your Eagleview sales, and we'll be able to turn that on for you. But it will be generally available to everybody in the coming weeks, and there will be a notification of this when that is the case. So these are some of the cool features we believe we have been added into the product during the summer. Now, Eagleview One is a subscription, as you are all aware right now, and the way we build the subscription is that we actually tailor it to your specific needs. So we looked at your past usage of Eagleview data, and if you don't have a history, we have a conversation with you and we figure out what are usually your needs for measurements. And based on that, we calibrate, or we build the subscription specifically for you, and you get a big deal. You get a good deal in this case. So that's really there's a financial benefit to that. The obvious value of a subscription is that you have very predictable costs. So you have an allowance of a number of reports you can use, and you know exactly what it's going to cost you. And if you go over that allowance, which is usually good news because it means you have much more business, you get additional discount for additional reports. So there's a double benefits here. You have predictability on your run rate, but if you have extra charge, extra workload, it's going to cost you less to get those following reports. And more importantly, and you're going to see that more and more in the future, and especially as we go into Eagleview Horizon and all those kind of solutions, but we add more and more features. So since we've launched the product with the property viewer in about 15 months ago, which was the first benefit of being on the Eagleview One subscription, you not only get your PDF reports or XML or JSON, but you get this 3D visualization tool. We added the pitch editor, so you can convert 2D to 3D. We've added roof penetration in the base roof data model reports, so you don't need to buy premium. It's part of the base roof model when you order 3D One. And also the sharing service that I showed you. So we're adding more and more functionalities are no extra cost part of your subscription. So this is one of the key value elements. So that was the first section of this meetup. For the second section, I want to give you before that, sorry, we do have a few more things coming for the rest of the year. So I just want to touch on a few of those. These are some of the most interesting one. We'll be adding more minor features, but it's worth mentioning those three here. You have seen in the property viewer a very brief demo that you can select your parcels, roof parcels if you're doing a partial job, or you can select specific walls, specific windows. So we're going to be improving that selection tool. So you'll be able to select more volume of the property. So it will be much more flexible, not limited necessarily to just the specific artifact like facet or windows, but being able to say, oh, I'm going to take the left part of the house or the second part of the shed. So better selection capabilities, so you can do better. You can more easily address the needs for partial projects. We have also improved some of the rendering in the 3D models. There are sometimes some things that we're not totally satisfied with the way they render, or with the accuracy of how they render. So we're improving that as well. And we're also adding more data. So an example of that would be the Sofit data that we're going to be adding to the reports. So again, and that will be part of your subscription. So additional benefits that you will get as we come back with those features. We haven't set up the date yet, but we will feature those new features in the webinar as well, as we usually do. So that closes the segment on the reports and measurements related to the property viewer and to the latest enhancement. What I want to cover now a little bit is Eagleview Horizon. So Eagleview Horizon is a new application that we are delivering on top of our Eagleview One platform. And the idea is to get you into the world of agentic AI. So give you the ability to have a different experience with the data we have, and that experience can be done with natural language. So it's going to allow you to query things, and I'm going to show you a few examples of that. But it's also going to give you the ability to have the agent do some reasoning and help you make some decisions, because the system is not only connected to our own data, but it's connected to the internet, it's connected to weather data. You can upload list of customers or list of properties with some specific attributes, and you can ask the system to do some work for you, basically using a natural language interface. Now, in the initial version, which is currently in immediate access, I talk about that a little later, we have a set of attributes that are available. So it's a pretty roof-centric, as you can see. We'll actually look at that in the product in a minute. So we have, and you have some examples here. The lists are not exhaustive, but some of the key roof characteristics, like the number of facets, the surface area, the perimeter pitch, the roof material type, which actually means that you can sort properties by roof material type. You can say, hey, show me all the properties in this zip code who have a wood shingle, and the system will return you a list, things like that. Condition of the roof, we rank the roof by condition ABC, from A being the best to E being the worst. Potential roof damages. Beyond roof, we also look at other property attributes, such as the presence of vents, count of window of dormer windows or HVAC units, presence of deck ratio, pool conditions, all those kind of things. We're going to see that in a second. So it is as I said, an interactive experience. So the product is still not fully available as GA, but I'm still going to attend to make a demo and show it to you live. So let me go back to my demo environment here. There we go. Let me share the screen. Here we go. And if we go into the horizon here, so here I'm logging into Eagleview Horizon. You actually have two views for Eagleview Horizon. The main view here jumps you directly into the chat windows, and it will give you a list of suggested questions you can ask, and you can see that this covers like roof material, impact of a weather event like tornado, screening damage, looking for other hail events. We're actually going to look for an example of that. So that's the primary interface, but you can jump directly into the map interface, where here we are going to ask a number of questions or prompts, and we're going to see the answer in the form of the imagery. So the very, very basics get starting is that, okay, you can ask the system, if you are familiar with those agentic solution, you know that you can actually interact with them just to get to learn what the system is capable on. So you can just very simply ask Eagleview Horizon, okay, what are you? And it's going to answer you, well, I'm an AI-powered platform, and I can help you with property data, mapping visualization, weather and storm events, aerial imagery, analytics and reports. So the ability to create analytics and reports. And you can drill down into the next level, which is, okay, now tell me what kind of property data do you have? So here we're going to see, and the reason why you might want to ask this question on a regular basis is because we're adding more and more property data as the product is going to be made available. So one of the characteristics of those agentic tools is that, well, you can ask them about themselves, and they can teach you what they are, what they can do. So here you have the list of what we support currently. So properties at the level, attributes at the level of the property and the parcel. So description, the category, parcel area, elevation. So think that where it is the property is. Information about the building and structure. So number of stories, roof area, roof condition, as we discussed, facet counts, roof features, and we have a number of things that the system can tell you here. Pools, presence, and their characteristics that exist, as well as a set of outdoor features. So that's kind of the information you can access. Now, let's jump into it and take a practical example. So the most basic prompt you can do with Eagleview Horizon is to say, well, I'm going to be looking into a property. So I've selected one here, which is in Arlington, Texas. So I can just ask, show me the data you have for this address. And so the system will convert, obviously, the address into the location, look at the location, and you're going to see in a minute that we are going to display on the right side the location and the imagery of the property, and now we're getting the information about this property. So you can see the imagery has popped up. You have the parcel boundaries, and you can see that we have number of stories. It's asphalt shingle type of material. The roof is in great condition, so probably no job here, unfortunately. No, there's presence of a pool. Obviously, you can see here. You have also access, obviously, to the imagery. So you can see the 4 basic imagery: top view, west, south, east, north. So all the data that you have seen is available in the previous prompt is now for this property. Now, this varies property from properties. For some properties, we don't have all the data, but it might be a subset. But everything we have or been able to extract from our machine learning models will be displayed for that specific property. So this is a property where we have a roof in great condition, so not very interesting for me to go do anything. And now this is where you can start using the tool as a prospecting tool, because now we can follow up by, okay, show me the property with roof condition D or E nearby, because, I mean, this is a property I was given the address for a reason. So let me go and shop around if there are places where I could go and potentially have a conversation with the owner and maybe find a job over there. So Eagleview Horizon is now going to, again, look at the location and look at the radius around it. So you can see it has actually started to plot a number of properties that would be interesting in this area. And you can see that on the map, and obviously you can zoom in, zoom out. We are going to see the result of the report here, but you can see, so here is in a 1 mile radius around the address we gave. It actually find 51 properties, a little bit of a rounding aspect to be fixed here. Most of them are metal roofs, actually the one that are in the poor shape. But you can see that, I hope, you can start seeing that by having this interactive conversation with the system, you can actually explore, prospect, get some reports, get some analysis about properties in specific areas. So we believe this is a pretty cool interface to property data. One last thing that I would like to show you, and this is the last prompt here, I mentioned earlier that Eagleview Horizon is not only connected to our property data, but it's connected to other data sources. So here we are going to ask how many hailstorms were recorded in 2026 in this area, and how many properties were likely affected. So if I run this prompt, Eagleview is going to look at weather data. So currently we look for the NOAA data. It's going to retrieve this data, look for hailstorm events, and we're going to get a report of the events that happen. And we are going to have some information about the properties that were potentially affected by this weather event. So it's going to take a minute. What is also interesting is, if you can see, there's a little button here where you can upload files. So you can actually extend the data sources to not only the one the system is connected by default, but you can potentially, if you extract weather data from another service and you have some GeoJSON files, you can upload this file into the system and ask Eagleview One to use this information to do his own analysis and return you the results. So you have some flexibility in the kind of data sources you can feed the system into. And we will be adding more and more of those data sources. You can also query the internet. One of the common question I had when I did some of the presentation is that you could imagine that it would be interesting to have access to permit information database or access to local code. For example, you could look at the local code for a specific area and look for properties that might have a code violation when it comes to roof. So all those kind of things are scenarios that you can imagine. So it's taking a little longer than I thought, but you can see that Eagleview is starting to plot some things. Now, it's now going to report that there was 5 hailstorm events in 2026, and there was actually a very large number of property that was potentially affected. So you probably want to follow up with more narrowing prompts into a specific area around maybe a specific location. But you should get the idea. So now you have the map of all the different areas that were affected by hailstorm, and this is pretty much a very large playground for you to go and look for potential prospects. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you live as a demo with Eagleview One, with Eagleview Horizon part of the Eagleview One platform. Now, I'm not going to spend much time on the following slide. These slides are more a backup or other examples, and this webinar is being recorded, so you will be able to watch it on a replay, and you can pause and stop on this one. But these are a few more examples about, so we've seen a prompt similar like that about a specific location. This is a prompt more, okay, once you have an address, I'm visiting nearby, show me 5 property with a potential for a roof renovation project. Very similar to show me the nearby properties who have a roof in D or E condition. That's another example of weather event. Here we ask to look into a tornado event that happened in 2025 and show the path of the tornado and highlight the different properties that was potentially affected and what was their roof conditions before the event, which is actually the next prompt. Find properties in the same zip with prior damage ranked by severity of conditions. So I think you should get the idea by now of the kind of scenario you can envision with Eagleview Horizon, and we're learning with our early access or limited access customers as we go, and the product will be probably launched early next year, so will be generally available. I have a small summary here. It's pretty wordy, but and you're going to see some patterns with what I've been saying earlier. But these are some examples of feedback we had from some of our customers. So some using it for prospecting every day. So the ability to point and shoot, where you can send your commercial team to potentially find some leads. Also, in the same context, being able to come up with a few bullet points, roof size, condition, life expectancy, and be able to very quickly pitch to the customers you're knocking at the door and say, hey, I've noticed that on your roof. This is the life expectancy, it's the current condition, there was an event in this area, you might want to consider renovation. So it gives you some bullets to argument about a potential project. We also see more and more, and that's part of show me potential properties around the location, but customers using this to prepare kind of a list of property as well as what is the most efficient route. I'm deploying a team in the morning to do a job, and maybe midday I can send one of the members, go around the area and either drop some flyer or knock on some doors. So what is the most effective route for me to do that, or most efficient route? The tool can reason and help you do that. So it really gives you more arguments when you go door knocking, sending your commercial team with the right arguments at the right place. And you can also building list of reports or list of properties with all the information you need for whatever is convenient for you to use. So this is just the beginning, but I wanted to make sure that you have seen the solution in action here. So as I said, it is in limited access program. Call your sales if you see the direct value for you. We'll see what we can do to get you on this program or maybe on the next. And again, the solution is targeted to be more generally available earlier next year. And we are going to be releasing more and more information about this. By the way, you can go on our website and register to our newsletter. We send a newsletter every 3, 4, 5 weeks about what we've learned during this program and use case and practical example from customers, example of prompts. So you want to stay in the known, go on our website, and on the top banner, you will be able to find a way to register to this newsletter list. So that concludes the second section of this webinar. I just want to spend a few more minutes about 2 things that might be interesting coming in the short term for you here. The first one is we are going to have, so if some of you are developer in the room, or if you have developers in your organization, we are going to do some significant enhancements in our developer portal, and we are going to do a proper launch for that, and there will be a specific webinar about this. But in a nutshell, what we're doing is we are significantly improving the self-service capability of the portal. So you can go on this portal and you'll find API documentation, postmark collections, tutorials, everything you need to get started without having to talk to anyone at Eagleview. And we know that developers love to do that. Developers love to be able to evaluate on themselves. Talking about that, if you tried, or if you're a developer and want to try today to play with our APIs, specifically for property data at the moment, you are actually limited to a sandbox. And this sandbox is a specific location in the country. It's a 1 square mile somewhere in the middle of a state. So you cannot really work with data that are local to you or that are relevant to you. So we are removing that. When we launch this new try, you will be able to select whatever location you want. Now, of course, there will be limitations. You cannot scan the whole country about it, but you will be able to select your own personal area of interest. So you're not limited to our sandbox. And we are building that first for the property data. So property data is actually a superset of what you've seen in Eagleview Horizon. So it has different data packs depending on your industry you are in. And it allows you then to access the property data for the location you want in a test environment. Next, after property data will be imagery. So we expect imagery to be available sometimes in Q4 as well. So we get expanding the ability for developers to build application using locations or examples that are relevant to them and in a much more self-service way. So stay tuned for that. There will be some announcement. We'll have a webinar, I think by the end of September. We're finalizing the date, and that will be available very soon. Last thing I want to mention is we are going to be at Western Roofing Expo at the end of September in Las Vegas. So we have a booth here, booth 650. So if you are attending this conference, please stop by. I will be personally there. So come and say hello, and I'll be here if you want to see more demos or get more information. So that kind of wraps up the program I had prepared for you. We had prepared for you today. So I see we've been having a number of questions in the Q&A. I'm going to call in Megan and Russ if you want to come on stage and maybe share some of the most interesting questions. And if you have more questions to address live, we can do that in the few remaining minutes of the webinar. Hi, Megan.
Hello.
Hi, Russ. Cool. So what did you have in the chat that is worth mentioning here? Yeah, anything you wanna highlight?
Russ, do you want to take that?
Sure. We could probably start with Property Viewer. So we do support all products, right? So whether it's Bid Perfect, a walls only, a roof, full house, right, which is both the roof and walls, windows and doors data set, all that is supported in Property Viewer. So you'd be able to have the interactive experience that Dimitri just demoed here earlier for all the products. The data set, right, that is displayed, right, is obviously different for each product. So with Bid Perfect, for example, right, you'll get the high level data, right, roof area, number of facets, right, predominant pitch, etc. But you won't get like the full line length. So the interface changes with the products that do get displayed in Property Viewer. And then as it relates to integrations, yes, so we do work closely with our partners, whether it's Horizon, whether it's Property Data, whether it's Property Viewer, right? We are working on a more tighter integration. So there are capabilities that you can use in Property Viewer and pull them back into your CRM. But we are trying to make a more seamless experience where whatever you do on Property Viewer gets pushed into your CRM. So stay tuned. We obviously work with hundreds of different partners here at Eagleview. So we have a pretty awesome business development and partnership team where we're trying to create the best experience for you guys to meet the needs that you guys have for any functionality that we develop. So I think those are the two big things that folks had questions about.
Great. Well, thanks for sharing that. Any last question in the chat room? I'm going to give you like 3, 2, 1. No more questions? Cool. Anyway, you can always follow up, contact your sales representative if there are any follow-up question about the webinar. So I want to thank you all for attending, and I hope that we will see you on the next episode, which we have not scheduled the date yet, but we will have one probably in 4 to 6 weeks. And that concludes our program for today. And I wish you a very good day. Bye.
Thanks, you.